Hello, everyone, and welcome to another horrific review. I'm joined once again by Matt as we discuss Silent Hill Revelation, directed by MJ Bassett. When her adoptive father disappears, Sharon De Silva is drawn into a strange and terrifying alternate reality that holds answers to the horrific nightmares that have plagued her since childhood. This movie was made on a budget of 20 million and brought in 55.9 million at the box office. Welcome back, Matt. Glad you're here, and I know you're not feeling the best at the moment, so thanks for struggling on and suffering for your art. It's always
No worries. It's
like
good.
a bit of pain in this show. It's always fun.
Yeah, it's all good.
$20 million. That's nothing of a budget, and that movie does not. We'll have issues with this film, fair enough. But what I will say is, there's movies made today on $300 million plus that look like absolute dog shit. And this movie's not it. This movie's made in 20 million and would blow a lot of the stuff coming out today out of the water for visuals alone.
Yeah, it's they've definitely made use of the money. At some point you might think, yeah, maybe it doesn't look as good as it could, but with a small budget, like you say, like today's standards, the budgets are crazy now.
Yeah, and the movies look terrible. Like, yeah, there's no suspension of disbelief. I'll say I was actually quite taken aback when I was looking this up for the intro. That was I was expecting maybe 40, 50, something around that region.
Yeah,
20 million. And yeah, I can't. One thing I can't say is this is not a good looking movie,
no,
and it doesn't. It's not like we go into practical effects, the CGI, fast and looking cheap, or do you know where you get the straight to DVD sequel, which we're all well used to, and they looked absolutely terrible compared to the original, or even worse still, Sci-Fi Channel brought out a series based on your movie. I'm looking at you, June, and it looks awful. Or I'm looking at you, Sci-Fi Channel again, and they make it absolutely god awful looking. And this was not it.
no.
It felt like part of the Silent Hill universe. It felt like a continuation.
Yeah, definitely. I think because the first film had really strong visuals, and that was made really well. And I think it does carry on quite well. You can see where the money and the decisions were made for it. So
Yep. So how are we going to go about this? Because doing this as a comparison to the game is just, you may as well we'll just scrap up the notes now and go home. There's
yeah,
not, this is, I don't know what they were thinking, like in terms of storyline, because we'll start off in Silent Hill 3. I mean, beat for beat.
yeah,
I just recently started again into Silent Hill 3, and you're beat for beat, Heather going through the circus and even the rabbits and everything else is the beginning of Silent Hill 3.
yeah,
And you're like, what are they doing? And then we've got Harry from Silent Hill 2.
yeah,
And you're like, what are you doing? And
yeah. It gets a bit confusing there.
so,
The first bit, when it is beat for beat Silent Hill 3, I love that because I love Silent Hill 3, the game.
but why didn't they just make Silent Hill 3?
I
Why
know.
didn't they, what's going on? This is the sequel to the first one. The first one did well. Yeah,
Somewhere,
confused
I don't
people,
know.
but
Somewhere down the line, someone decided to sort of twist everything around. So,
I know the audience weren't confused enough for the first one, so let's ramp it up.
yeah, something like that.
Okay, so comparing this to the games, yeah, let's just give up and go home now. There's no point. This is all over the place. So let's try and compare Silent Hill Revelation to Silent Hill, the movies. It takes a minute to get there, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So
You're like, what's happening here?
a lot of concentration needed.
So once again, we've got Heather. She's now with, as we find out, she's living with Harry, her adopted father, who's also Sean Bean. You're like, what are the right? And we'll just go along linear. You're sort of going, you're doing what? Did they recast Sean Bean as another character? What's going on here?
Yeah.
Until she goes to school, and then you start to realize because he gives her that speech, and like, hold on, something's going on here. Right, I'll sit back, and I'll not pass judgment yet.
Yeah. I think, yeah, the sort of introduction for those characters is a bit confusing, obviously, from the first film, because it's the same actor but a different character. But that was always one of the big reveals in the game as well. In Silent Hill 3, that Heather's dad was the dad from the first game. That was one of the big reveals from that. So I think they sort of tried to keep that as a little nod to the games.
Okay. Yeah, and then we're getting the idea that they're on the run, and you're like, okay, this isn't because the way that Silent Hill ended,
Yeah,
they shouldn't be on the run because Elisa took care of everything.
yeah,
Like there's nothing more decisive than barbed wire ripping through people to settle an argument. You know what I mean? That's the end of the argument.
yeah.
And I
There's
think,
no going back.
yeah, and I think Alyssa won that one.
Yeah,
So, okay.
yeah. I don't think that was explained very well with the sort of new tribe of people.
Yeah. So we're sort of still trying to figure this out, and yeah, Heather's in a new school. She gives her speech of, yeah, this is the 11th school or something I've been to, blah blah blah. I don't care about it. Just leave me alone. And you're sort of getting, okay, right, something's going on here. And then we meet Vincent, Kit Harington's character, and
Yeah.
straight away you're like, he's off.
Yeah, Vincent is a very different character in the film than he is in the game.
Yep. But what would you like? You're just getting on all of a sudden some random goes, I want to be your best friend. We've never met before. And like just like gets in your face. You're like, huh?
Yeah, you sort of. I think first time watching it, I think it's obvious that there's something not right about him. Like straight from the get go.
Yeah, that's without a doubt. Like,
yeah, it wasn't very subtle. It was like, I'm here and I'm weird and I'm clingy.
Yeah, that's like no thanks.
So it was
I don't do clingy people. Even watching on TV, it's like, oh god, no.
Yeah.
But what he does though is once he speaks, Sean Bean's American accent doesn't seem as bad. Because whoa.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
We had a discussion about this on the last film, didn't we? About his accent.
Yeah, but I can forgive Sean Bean now because once Kit Harington speaks, you're like, okay, mate, right, okay, you win the bad accent attempts, championships.
But I don't know. Has Sean Bean?
You know he's English, don't you? Kit Harington's English. So that's a put on American accent. And it's awful.
Just find American actors.
Yeah, that's probably would have been cheaper as well. Well, no, well he wasn't that. You know, he's still not really big noise, but him back in, this is all pre Game of Thrones, so
yeah,
wouldn't have been a draw.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so things. What I'll say about this one, on a positive side, we're not just rushing to get back to Silent Hill now.
No.
Where the first one just felt like they went into fourth gear, just revved it up, and just we're trying to race to Silent Hill as quickly as possible. This one's taking a bit of time.
Yeah. And I think that was like one of the issues we had with the first one, wasn't it? Like we agreed on to have a little bit more time with the characters, or everything happened. And I think this one definitely sort of gave you a lot more background of what's happening, sort of prepared you for what's going to happen. So I think, I don't know if other people noticed that the first one lacked a bit of context with things. So, but yeah, it does feel a lot more sort of steady paced in this one.
Like the nightmare scene with Heather, for example,
Yeah,
and then it's going in her waking dreams. If I had a bit of that at the beginning of Silent Hill, the first movie, would have then got why Sharon was screaming, because
yeah,
she couldn't, what I mean, she didn't know whether she was in fantasy land or reality because it kept bleeding into the other, and this sense of being hunted.
yeah, that's it. I think,
We'll get it
yeah,
this time round, which I appreciated.
yeah, definitely. And like we said, like that dream sequence is very similar to the game, and I'm glad they kept that because that's quite important, and it becomes obviously important in the film as well towards the end. Obviously, we get there. But yeah, just that it wasn't really long, was it? The opening, it was a couple of minutes, but I think that's all we needed.
Yeah, but then further on as the movie goes, we see her, the sort of Silent Hill world leeching into hers.
Yeah,
So, like I said, even in her waking dreams, we got that in the first sort of 10 minutes, which, like I said, that's all it took was to give that context of she's living in a waking nightmare.
yeah,
But obviously, with Heather, she's got amnesia, so she doesn't know there's a lot of context missing.
yeah.
Uh, she doesn't know why she's having these dreams, etc.
No,
Um, then we sort of get the reveal early on because I think we needed it that Heather is Sharon and Harry is Chris,
yeah,
and they're the same two characters from Silent Hill, but Rose managed to break through and get Sharon out, and she remained behind. It it took a minute to get that revealed, but I think we needed it because
yeah.
boy, you're going through this movie and you're sort of going, huh?
How?
Yeah, why? What is this?
Yeah.
So
And I think the actress that plays Rose, she was only literally in it for that moment, wasn't she? She didn't come back.
no, that was it. Just that one moment, that
Yeah.
one scene.
But I thought that her, I didn't really notice it before because obviously I was watching it through like a sort of different lens this time. I noticed that her voice had changed from the first one because she was like saying my love and all that sort of thing. And she was like, she never once said that in the first one. So I don't know why they had to make her say it twice as if it was like a trait of hers that she says my love.
Mm.
So that was a bit, I never noticed that before until I watched it this time.
But I think that's what we talked about with the first movie. The chemistry between them was a bit off as well, so you weren't buying it, and the way Chris reacted, and like we said, to adopt somebody, you need to be a pretty strong couple.
Yeah.
So they weren't given that. So is this a wee bit of an attempt to sort of bring a bit of that in?
Possibly. It did feel a bit false, but
A bit too much sugary sweetness. Maybe dial back on the sugary sweetness a bit, make it
it was a
realistic.
little bit, it's a horrific situation. I don't think I'll be saying my love.
Well, then again, if you've been trapped in a demon realm, you start turning the gun. Oh, my precious. Maybe your brain starts going a bit squirrely. Which,
Yeah.
yeah.
Maybe she, maybe she needed a bit of sweetness after that.
Yeah. Yeah, who knows? I think maybe they should have started off that. That should have been how they led with. Maybe the escape
Yeah.
and just got us on board. I know there's creatively trying to, maybe not follow a cliche, but I think we should have had a follow on
Yeah.
from Silent Hill. Basically, Rose breaking Sharon out. That should have just been the start, and then we could have carried on. Had a 3 years later or something break.
Yeah.
That would have been better, I think.
Because I think the way Silent Hill, the first one, ended was so confusing, but like it was sort of in its own contained thing. It was all right.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, with the second one, instantly, I remember when the film first sort of came out, I was like, oh, how are they going to do that already? Like, I was already thinking that before I saw the film. So I am glad they sort of explained it, but maybe, yeah, should have explained it a bit earlier on. Because, like we mentioned before, Silent Hill's very confusing at the best of times.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so
Uh, yeah, it's so once again, we've got a start of a movie that takes a minute for you to get your head wrapped around until things start to happen.
yeah,
And what we see is the realm of Silent Hill is trying to drag Sharon, slash Heather back again. And then we find that the order of Valtiel has been
Valtiel.
Valtiel, right? I knew I was going to butcher that. Have been sending people continuously after them,
Yeah,
which means that they weren't all wiped out. Which I don't know. The end of Silent Hill was pretty conclusive. Alyssa took him to bits
yeah.
and left her mother alive.
I
So
think in the first one, it was more like I want to say it was a different sort of setup because this one's obviously following Valtiel from Silent Hill 3. Sort of like the protector sort of character. So the way I sort of look at it is like a different cult than the first one.
almost like a different denomination or something.
Yeah, sort of like something different because but then they still use the same church,
Yeah,
so it is a bit
which
confusing.
get ripped to shreds. So you're like, huh?
Yeah,
And also, their world was set up in the movie. No, I mean, if we could just go, like I said, we're leaving the games to the side because that just
yeah, it's
we'll be
just
here for 6 hours plus, still trying to wrap our heads around it because
yeah,
I don't know what they're playing there. But even just taking the movies, the whole point of Silent Hill was the realm was created as Alyssa's revenge.
yeah,
So what's going on here?
yeah,
It's sort of dropped that this is a place for lost souls as if it's continually dragging people in, but that doesn't make sense in movie terms because we're very clear about what Silent Hill was.
yeah. I
So,
think look, now, I think even if we did try and translate it to the games, it is still a bit confusing because the end of Silent Hill 1, the game, is sort of quite conclusive. But then obviously Silent Hill 3, it's sort of like it almost tries not to remember what happened before.
mhm.
And it's just sort of like, okay, this is happening now.
And essentially abandons Silent Hill 2, the game,
Yeah,
for reasons to go
yeah,
back to it at the end.
yeah,
Because that's the end of this movie is going back to Silent Hill 2, the game.
yeah.
And you're like,
I
what?
did I did sort of find that setup quite clever the way they did it, but obviously it didn't follow through because the third film wasn't made.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and maybe in that third film, it might have been a much rounder experience with like all three of them. It might have filled in a lot of holes. But yeah, it's sort of I don't know because Silent Hill 2, the game's very on its own anyway. But yeah, it's very
I think it's a classic example of even with the games, game did well, better than expectations. Oh,
yeah,
we need to make a sequel. Oh, we didn't write enough for a sequel. Oops. Let's get the storyboard going.
yeah, that's it. And I think
Um,
into the future maybe a bit too sort of hastily.
but then again, how do you? I don't know because you yourself, you're a writer. If you're going to write a trilogy, or if you're even if you never finish it, you're going to write a trilogy, aren't you?
Yeah,
So even if you never finished, like got past the first book, you're going to plot out. Okay, here's my story arc, or 5 book series or something. You're going to plot that out
Yeah,
and you sort of know where you're going, even if your slight amendments happen, you have that structure. TV, I give up on TV because TV doesn't. TV's just off the cuff. Everything's last minute. Pump it out, pump it out. That's why I'm not a fan. But movies, when you think of the amount of pre-production and meetings and stuff involved in storyboarding before the first shot is taken, even before principal photography, I don't understand, especially things like this, why they're not planning a continuous storyline for it to carry on. And even if it doesn't happen, have the plan in place.
yeah,
This has always been my gripe with a lot of, things that became franchises that maybe weren't meant to be, or franchises that run out of steam very quickly because you can just tell they haven't got a story arc.
yeah. That's it. I think, yeah, when the way I sort of see it, I don't know if there was a plan to make a sequel to the first one or not in the beginning, but the first one is nice on its own. Um, that every time I watch the Silent Hill Revelations, I always enjoy what I'm watching and what it's trying to do. But always in the back of my head, I'm like, do we actually need this though?
Yeah, it's a bit like fan fiction, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
similar.
almost like a fan fiction movie that they've made something. Oh, here, do you want to just experience the Silent Hill universe again? There
Yeah,
you go, folks.
that's sort of how it feels. And don't get me wrong, like I do think the majority of it was made really good on the budget they had.
Oh, fantastic! Like that's one thing. The budget of this movie and what they produced is second to none. Like
Brilliant, yeah.
you can't beat that at all.
Um, so yeah, so and like I said it on the last review, and I stand by what I say, and I sort of just take the films for what they are. I think people sort of slate the second movie quite a bit because it doesn't fit in the canon of the games, but I always sort of have it as a separate thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's more enjoyable that way.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to do. Like I said, I'm taking as I stated at the start, let's just leave the games aside because
Yeah,
we'll twist our brains and we'll be here for 6 hours plus trying to figure it out.
yeah,
But even the continuity between the first movie and the second movie, the first movie ended so decisively.
yeah. It was done.
You know what I mean? It was done unless it won this side of things. Yeah, Chris, this is what you're going to have to stay with us for a while because this is what we're going to try and figure out because it's a confusing one.
Yeah.
Oh, but many haven't seen you before. Welcome. Hey guys, this was a rough go for me. It's made a gimmicky 3D. Oh god, yes, that's right. This was a 3D movie.
Yeah, it was meant to. Well, it was
Yeah,
originally.
that's the death of any movie anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it came out sort of when 3D was on everything.
Yeah.
Because like Saw 3D,
Dude, that's what
Bloody
killed Dread.
3D. There was a lot of 3D films that sort of finished.
So if anyone slags off Piranha 3D, we're going to have issues because that's cheeseball fun and shut up.
Never watching an old Piranhas. I don't think I've watched the newer ones.
No, Piranha 3D is its own thing. It's not part of any universe. It's just dumb fun.
But it came out.
It is a slasher movie. The first one is horror.
Yeah.
The second one's to just try to upgrade the piranhas with wing things, make them into flying fish essentially. But Piranha 3D is just you just leave your brain at the door.
Yeah.
That's all you do. You just take your brain out. You don't need it. Just set it aside. Go in and go as it do all the like motorboats and stuff. And yeah.
Yeah, I think 3D did kill a lot of films.
Yeah, Kill Dread. That's the biggest crime 3D's ever committed. Is a Kill the Dread movie, not because of the way, and they were very clever with the way they used 3D in that movie.
Yeah,
for the slow-mo scenes, that was fantastic. That was actually, how do we use 3D properly? I know, taking a narcotic, boom, done. It actually fit in the context, but we were so burnt out with 3D movies. It's like, oh god, no, everyone just switched off.
Because didn't Resident Evil do a 3D one as well? But then that actually survived. Was it Afterlife?
Was it Afterlife? Was it 3D?
I'm sure one of them
I don't
was
know. I've
meant
only ever watched them on Blu-ray. So,
but
did I
that
go?
seemed to survive. Maybe
I
that
didn't
was
see the last two in the cinema. I saw the. No, I never saw. I've never seen any of the Resident Evil movies in the cinema. I always saw them in DVD back in the day on Blu-ray.
yeah. I'm sure one of those, maybe even two of those were in 3D. Have to look that up.
Well, that's yeah, that franchise is a powerhouse. That could survive a lot. There's a lot of forgiveness because there is some cheese. I can see actually the end of Retribution being 3D. You could just see the scene in the White House. Like you can see that being 3D.
Because I think I remember seeing it, and it was like a lot of slow motion scenes where I thought this is what they use the 3D for.
Mm-hmm.
When something's like exploding, or she's what's the character called? Alice. Jumping through something. It was all like slow motion. I thought, oh, maybe that's when they used the 3D. Because I did find that in Silent Hill Revelations, the sort of 3D elements was when it was like slow motion.
Oh, right. Afterlife, Retribution, and the final chapter were all 3D.
Oh, there we are.
There we go. Right. I said I'd never seen these. I just realized I've never seen these movies in the cinema.
I think I watched the third one in the cinema, like when obviously when it first came out, but I didn't think I watched any of the others.
I'm surprised because I was back in the early 2000s. Like I was at the cinema every week.
Yeah,
that's back when you didn't have to take a mortgage out to go to the cinema. You could actually afford it.
Yeah, it's quite expensive now.
Oh God, it's disgusting now. You actually feel dirty, as if you've been violated going to the cinema now. What's wrong?
Oh dear.
Although 28 years later was fun, so. But still,
I'm still a bit dubious about that.
It was all right. It's if you're just expecting a zombie flick and lots of action and stuff, no, that's not what the movie is.
Yeah.
It's more of a thought piece. What's it like to live in this world? But I enjoyed it for what it was. You know what I mean? It was inoffensive.
Yeah. I think I watched, I've watched 28 Days Later loads of times, but I think Weeks Later, I think I've only ever watched once.
Yeah, that's a hard watch.
Yeah, and I was just like, I don't really know because it's so different than the first one.
People like Robert Carlyle, but
yeah, I just couldn't seem to get on with that one. So I think that's why I've sort of given 28 years a bit of a birth.
Yeah, well, if you're okay, it's not the watch of the. You're not going to change your life watching it. It's one of them movies, but for the most part, I didn't hate it. I enjoyed it. It's one of them. You just watch and enjoy, but
yeah, so
I wouldn't see me rewatching it loads of times.
No.
I would stick this in the Blu-ray player quicker, to be honest.
Yeah. I think with this, once you've grasped the story, like I've watched it countless times, I think once you've grasped it and you know what's going on, and then it's quite an easy film to watch, like over. I think the first couple of times you watch this film, it is quite a lot of hard work to try and sort of fit it together. But I think once you've got it, I think it turns into quite a easy watch,
Yeah, it's that twist in your brain. Leave the games aside because we even get the scene here with Douglas Cartland turning up.
Yeah.
Which once again, you may as well you could play the movie, you could play the game footage like side by side, and it would be beat for beat, more or less.
I was kind of disappointed that Douglas didn't actually stay around too long in the film.
Yeah. What a waste. That was a waste. He was used as a plot device in this as opposed to a character, and you're like, come on, what are you doing? What's going on here?
He's a big part of the games, and obviously I won't say too much because you're playing through them now. But I was a bit sad when he sort of disappeared. I was like, I want to know him better.
There's a scene with the fingers.
Yeah.
That was for 3D.
Yeah.
That was now that I'm thinking about it, that was for 3D. Just what Chris is saying here about they're the same with the fingers. It's the same thing. It was done purely for that scene was just purely done for the 3D
Yeah.
cameras. Now that I'm thinking about it, oh my god.
There was a couple because I think there was a scene as well with Pyramid Head cutting off the arms of prisoners.
That was the dumbest scene. I'm sorry. That scene was just what the hell? What is that?
I know, and there's a couple of bits where it's just like really slowed down, and you can just tell like it looks a bit odd when you're watching it sort of 2D. But yeah, definitely the fingers do stand out.
Still 20 million, and they made a 3D movie as well.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say that's impressive.
They did do well with the money.
Yeah. But I love as well. So Heather meets Douglas and things unfold. Vincent appears again. You know, them have the sign. They've found their apartment. And I love the way they have not a paintbrush in sight, by the way. Like super tidy cult. Like all their paint, you know, is the draw intricate symbols and like it's what's the name for Japanese calligraphy? Because it's not just normal calligraphy. This is like, you know, you spend years under a master to do that intricacy, especially on a wall.
Like hieroglyphics and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's Egyptian, but it's something in they've a name for it. They've a particular it's almost like samurai level art form of doing their calligraphy, Japanese calligraphy, and that's almost what this is. That level of I'll get this brushstroke perfect, you know, draw this symbol perfectly onto the wall. Not a drip of paint.
No. It's the cleanest writing I've ever seen in blood.
Yeah. I wish I could write like that normally.
I always found that bit quite jarring. I'm like, they could have made it a little bit creepy.
Yeah, stamp or something, or you know, I don't know what they were, or have it supernaturally burned into the wall.
Yeah, that would have made more sense, to be honest, with the way Silent Hill is in the films. To have it
kanji, right? There we go. But thanks.
Oh, there we are.
There we are. Yeah. Basically, they said, you know, and it's very ritualistic, and the pull the sleeve and all. And there's a certain way they have to do it, and it's on the rice paper and stuff as well. And it's not a drop of ink used more than, and it's all done with like each letter is done with perfect strokes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't last 5 minutes. I'd be kicked out because my handwriting's terrible. It's like,
or maybe they get their recruits from Silent Hill.
So basically that's it. You know, Douglas turns up. Douglas goes away again. To go to the hotel. Harry goes missing, and I love how 17-year-olds. This is brilliant. Like they're just. I was never that rich when I was 17 and I had a part-time job and everything and no bills.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's just drive forever. We can go rent hotels and just, whatever. No responsibilities or worries.
I know. I like the bit when she says, can you drive? Because I can't drive. And I'm like, you're trying to be responsible, but you're not.
Also, she's a 17-year-old American.
Yeah.
Those things are like... it's funny. I took a drive test over there. Like first time, just jumped in the car. Everything's on the wrong side.
Yeah.
And I haven't done any training or driving license in years, and I just went, and still the pass me, give me a license. I'm like, really? Okay. All the bad habits, not giving a shit.
Yeah.
And that was enough for to give me a driving license. And I'm like, okay. Standard must be very low then.
Yeah, but
automatic cars as well. Not even have to work gears.
They do seem to drive for a long time.
They get their license at like 15 and something. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Big straight roads, no corners.
Amazing.
Yeah. God.
Although I'll probably find that quite boring, to be honest.
Yeah, that's. But yeah, she can't. Was that just to get him? Was that just a plot device
I think so.
to get Vincent in the plot? Because that was so weak.
I think so. I think, it's hard for me not to compare the games, but that scene isn't in the game. Vincent is a completely different person, but Heather does go to a hotel with Douglas. So that scene is sort of there, but it's the characters are sort of completely changed. I'm not too sure the need for Vincent to be there. It was obviously he was obviously
Purposely
they wanted
targeting
to,
her and putting himself in her way because
which is why she said, "Can you drive?" That was the way of getting him there. But I don't see the thing.
It's like they're trying too hard, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was sort of like this is happening, then this, and then this, and then this. There wasn't sort of any sort of flow to that bit. I always found that quite disjointed, that bit from when she wants to go to Silent Hill to the hotel. I think once they're at the hotel, it's fine, whatever. But I think that middle bit is a bit disjointed because we don't see the need for him to be there. He's a complete stranger, basically, and she's literally just done a big speech of not talking to people. So it was all a bit sort of, you need to say this to him because we need this character in this scene, sort of thing.
I sense studio interference.
Yeah,
I do. I sense it in the back. When you have a script this disjointed, you've got a team of writers. I know they're only one writer credited, but with this, you've got a lot of people chipping in. It's just obvious. I've seen too many movies now, and then when you go and you hear the horror stories in the background, of productions, and it's always studio interference and execs sticking their beak in.
Yeah.
And they always do it with horror movies. And it's funny how, like, once again, let's go to today, the $300 million movies, and they let one person do it and they leave them alone.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, Taika Waititi. And then they wonder why the thing blows up because they give them the wrong material. He's a quirky, fantastic sense of humor, but he's not a comic book person.
Yeah.
He's just not. He's the wrong person for the job, but they don't have a team of writers correcting him and checking on him. Hellraiser is another example of this. After 3, basically, the studios just kept interfering and the budgets were tiny. And you're like, what is this?
Yeah.
Leave for all that you're spending in terms of a studio, leave them alone to get on with it.
Yeah, that's
the loss is minimal. And maybe go look at the 100 million plus movies, and maybe steer those a bit, make sure they're going the right direction.
Yeah, and I think we've had a discussion about Hellraiser previously, haven't we? Where the more sort of interference, it's like the quality of the film is impacted so much to the point where actually it's not even a Hellraiser film anymore.
Yeah, it's something else completely, and you can see it happening here. Like, to me, just leave Douglas Cartland out of it. He served no purpose really in this movie.
I feel the same. Use him fully or not at all.
Why couldn't Vincent have been with Heather as the stuff unfolded? And where did it go? It was a school, wasn't it? No, hospital. It was a hospital.
Yeah. Hospital.
Sorry, it was a hospital. Yeah, forgetting there for a second. So just have Vincent and Heather in the hospital, have the events unfold, and then they both go on the run, and that's what brings them together. Job done.
Yeah.
instead of overcomplicating it. But it's like somebody's read this scene, oh, let's do this, and they haven't read the previous scenes, so nothing, you know.
Yeah, I think they were sort of trying to like lay foundations maybe for like a teenage love story, and it was like I don't know, like I don't think that sort of planned out.
Chris, that's not the point I was making. The point I was making that this is obvious. This is a low budget movie, and you can tell already that the studio's been overwatching and micromanaging and changing things. And it's about having the right person. Doesn't matter how great somebody is. Taika Waititi, What We Do in the Shadows, Jojo Rabbit, you know, great stuff. That he's a particular style and it's brilliant for a certain type of movie. So you don't give that person. It's like what they're doing to Robert Eggers right now. They're taking Robert Eggers and they keep shoving remakes at him. They're trying to book him up with remakes for the next couple of years. They're putting the wrong person in that role. Let him do his own thing and let him follow his own vision, and we'll get what we get. But they're going to ruin Robert Eggers' legacy because this is his next 3 movies are going to be remakes. Done. They did the same with him. They gave him the job, but this is the point: is he was put in charge of $200 million plus movies, and they didn't. They just don't micromanage at all. Just let him get on with it. With horror movies, for some reason, you've got the bloody entire weight of the studio. If you're trying to make a horror movie and the studio's taking you on, you have got the entire weight of the studio. You go back. Clive Barker's a great example of a lot of stuff he's tried to make. The studio are always are interfering. Hellraiser, we can see it here. God, you can see a bit of it with Resident Evil. God, you saw the Tremors. For Frank's sake, we covered the Tremors series. Look what happened there once Universal got involved. The ran it into the ground. This is, for some reason, when it's a horror property, and even if it's not a large budget, which you'd think that would be the factor, wouldn't you? A huge budget. Okay, we need more people involved to steer the ship. It's a tanker. It's not a speedboat. But they don't. They all clamber into the speedboat, and everyone tries to grab the tiller, and then they wonder why the thing's going all over the show.
Yeah, I think it's of yeah. You say going back to the thing that horror's the more experimental genre of anything, and I think that's probably why people find the need to interfere more.
Just leave it alone, especially if you're not a. Now, I am more convinced now. If you are not a horror fan, if you don't appreciate the horror genre, stay out of horror creativity.
Yeah, I think it's one of the genres you need to love it to make it work,
and at least appreciate it. And I think if you appreciate horror, you do grow to love it. It's just one of them. That's the trajectory you go down, because once you get away from the stigma of horror, oh, it's just a slasher movie. Oh, it's just gratuitous. Blah, blah, blah. Once you get over that and realize there's deeper movies than Spielberg could ever hope to make in the horror genre. There's more telling. There's more social commentary in horror movies than any SJW blue hair could ever think of. But I can't think anyway. But horror's been doing it longer, better, and unapologetically.
Yeah.
If you don't get that, stay out of the genre. Just go to the romance sections over there, or the capes and cowl stuff's over there, or the was wump wump flashy lights is over there as well. Way you go, have fun. We'll not think any less of you.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think if you're not willing to put the work in to understand what horror is, like, don't try and pretend to be an expert.
Yeah, and definitely don't get into the creative side of things, because you'll fail. You might get a fluke, you might get a one-off, but your longevity wise, you're not going to be there. And why do it?
Yeah, I agree with that.
So, and even the hotel room scene of this, actually, when we get to it, because this is This is basically it. This is the plot, and then it goes into Silent Hill world. You know, they've spent a bit of time building up this, but even the hotel room, it feels like a video game scene. Like
Yeah.
I was just waiting for the controller to come back. It was funny.
We said in the in the first film it was very video game esque. Yeah, I think it did manage to sort of shake the video game aspect for quite a bit in the first bit of this movie. But yeah, from like the hotel onwards, there's a lot more sort of like
Fetch quests.
yeah, well, you need to find this key, or you need to
Look at the map and
look
go
at the map.
here. Drop this item. You've used it.
That's it.
The gun, like she gets the gun. Bum, bum, bum. Drop.
Yeah, it was like similar to the knife in the first one when as soon
Yeah.
as she used it once, it disappeared. But yeah, very. Although I do quite like those moments where it sort of turns back into it what it is, especially with the maps and everything. Like playing Silent Hill, you spend more time looking at the map than anything else.
That's because the thing is confusing as hell. Oh, like Silent Hill. See when you get into the hospital in Silent Hill 2, that bloody corridor, your head's turning.
Yeah.
See, all look the same. You just keep going round and round and round and up and down, and then until you get the flipping lock. You know, the bit with you finally get the lock and the combination, and you open it, and then you can actually move forward.
Yeah.
Bloody hell, that's.
I remember playing Silent Hill 2, the original, so many times that I actually knew my way around the apartments and the hospital without the map. But when the remake came out, they changed the layout, so I was like, oh, I have to go back to the map again.
Oh,
Then.
God, you bastard. Oh, dear. Like I said, we talked about the scene in the. So finally go in the Silent Hill world. We find out Vincent's. Oh, shocked by nobody. Vincent's part of the cult. Oh, really? Yeah, we didn't see that coming a mile off.
Yeah, it didn't really come as a shock. Although I suppose it was meant to be a bit of a surprise twist, but yeah, it was like, oh yeah, okay, we knew that.
Yeah. That's fine. But that corridor scene, she's trying to get the, when she finds out about Leonard, she has to get the key to go to the map to get Leonard, and all the hands come out. Red Pyramid turns up. And the fact is, even if you're a mindless monster, if you're sticking your hands out and all of a sudden, whoosh, hands are disappearing, nobody went, oh, right, yeah. Because they knew enough to try and get her. It was almost like a, right, press X, right, down, jump, down, right. But Red Pyramid's Alyssa's guardian. Heather's part of Alyssa.
Yeah.
Why she run away?
Lack of knowledge, I suppose.
But we sort of got a bit of a. You're starting to remember stuff in that.
Yeah.
I don't know why she just didn't follow. No, because Vincent explained to her, so she'd sort of had it in her head at that point.
Yeah.
So why didn't she just follow?
Yeah, he sort of showed up when she needed help, didn't he? So.
And then she goes down the, into the spider webbery type thing, and yeah. And you're kind of like, just follow him and get him to lead you, and then you've no problems, and then nobody's going to mess with you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's. But then we wouldn't have had the spider web scene with that monster. Which I do quite like the design of that monster, actually. The sort of spider doll mannequin thing.
Yeah, but here's. Right, so the first movie, in its context as a movie, ignoring the games as a movie, made sense.
Yeah.
That was hell for the cult that tried to burn Alyssa alive and left her a rotten husk, basically, and never going to have a normal life again. And it's her rage and her tormenting them. This almost feels gratuitous. They're doing it for the sake of it because there's no reason why Silent Hill as a world should exist.
Yeah.
Because they're still, it's the same cult. It's the same story with Alyssa. I don't get it. I almost feel like they should have just started with a whole bunch of new characters and a new scenario,
Yeah,
and just the fact that the demon, that became Dark Alyssa, because remember she says I've many names and that, so she's hinting that she's a separate entity
yeah,
as opposed to Alyssa. She manifested as Dark Alyssa, but the demon isn't.
yeah,
Why not have that demon approach someone else and just have a new storyline? I feel like they've written themselves in their corner with this movie.
yeah. I think there was a lot of people that agreed with that. It was like, and like me to an extent, I do sort of wish they started something completely different, because I love how the first one just had like leaves questions.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and this
Or
one's trying to
just
like,
have bloody Chris.
but it's not.
Just have Silent Hill. Just have Chris try to get the Silent Hill to get his
Yeah,
wife and daughter back.
yeah,
What was wrong with that plot? I was sitting right there in front of them. Okay, everything's sorted, but Rose and Sarah are trapped in Silent Hill. Make the plot about, okay, what is Silent Hill, and then it expands that it's not just the one town; it's a manifestation of the demon, and then he's trying to figure out in the real world how to get back in to get them out,
yeah.
while they're trying to figure out how to get out through
That
the.
made a made more sense that way. I think he said it because obviously this one doesn't start where the last one ended, like directly,
Hmm.
and like so much time had gone past. So like the child actress that played, um, the
Sarah and Liz. Yep.
um,
Yep.
too much time had passed, so they had to recast, and it shows. um, yeah, it would have made more sense just to go directly into sort of Chris trying to find Rose. But they sort of went around the long way to get there, because obviously, like we mentioned at the end, it was sort of him going to find Rose. So they did do that, but sort of like in a really long and complicated way.
Mm-hmm. Maybe Chris. The end of this one could have been Chris, basically pulling Rose out, pulling Sarah out.
Yeah,
However, he has the chance to go in and let her live her life. You know what I mean? She at least can live her life, but he goes on to start. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I just, as a switch your brain off, sort of go along for the ride movie. It looks great. It's fun. But now I'm sort of thinking about it, even, like I said, ignoring the games, just as a continuation from the first movie. What are they doing? This is. Yeah, it's definitely done by committee. This is definitely a think tank has made this movie.
I think it's just um, so I like it for what it is. Like it doesn't make much sense.
No. And Vincent tied to the. You knew this. This was just felt like a video game again. Vincent tied to the bed with the porn nurses,
Oh, yeah.
because that's what they're just porn nurses. At that point, they're just
And they
there's
have
no other purpose.
special sound effects in this one.
Like, oh god, it's not doing that for me. It's just having the opposite effect. It's just hilarious. They did them well. You know what I mean? They did them well in the first one. I'll give them that. In the first movie, that brilliantly has served a purpose,
Yeah,
and it was linked to Alyssa, her experience in the hospital, etc., etc. It was a manifestation, and it was a test for Sarah, or sorry, not Sarah, for Rose to get through to
yeah,
finally meet Dark Alyssa. That made sense. This, once again, just felt like, yeah, let's do it. Yeah, you liked those nurses last time, didn't you? You dirty Silent Hill fan, you like those nurses? Have them again? Yeah, and they're going to make porn noises now. There, who's your daddy?
and they seemed a lot more flexible in this one as well.
They were just taking the mick in this
Yeah,
one. Like, I was parody. This is more of a parody than
Yeah,
uh,
I think you can't take it too seriously.
no. You. I think the bed scene. That's where I'm sort of going. All right. Okay. And then we'll go back to the fun fair.
Yeah, I love the fun fair scenes. Both
I
of
love fun fair. I love the set. I love sideshows. I love freak shows. I love that. I love that sort of stuff. Makes
yeah,
me happy.
and I think it's done a lot on horror, but I'm always quite excited to see a fun fair in horror. Um, but obviously, in this, she sort of thinks then, "Oh, I remember this from my dream," but obviously, it pans out differently. But I do like the setting, and I think like the arts and the sort of design of it was gave that really creepy vibe, especially with the like goldfish.
Yeah, we'll get the repeat of the same scene, and you're
Yeah,
like, oh, well, but it served a purpose. It was the dread and the this is death and decay, and
yeah.
then when we meet Dark Alyssa again, which once again makes no sense. And of course, yeah, that horrible CGI young version of her. I'm glad they changed her to me a mirror image, because that
Yeah,
would have been hard to look at.
yeah,
The almost like deep fake before deep fake became a thing
yeah,
of young Alyssa. Yeah, I'm glad they switched it up so she became basically a mirror image of Heather. But then she just tells her, I let you out, but she didn't let her out. She
yeah,
trapped her. Well, anybody that watched the last movie knows that Dark Alyssa trapped Rose and Sarah in Silent Hill World after taking her revenge for no reason.
yeah.
This would have been a good movie to explain the reason why she decided to do that. And she speaks to her as if, why did you come back? You trapped her there and they escaped. Would you not be angry that she escaped? What is going on with the... I don't know. Help me out here.
I know,
As
I
well.
know.
I'm confused.
I can't help it. It's very confusing, and there's a lot of contradictions with the two films. I always thought Silent Hill was a character, as well as all the other actors there. It's like characters. And at the end of the first one, in my head, I'm like, right, the town's trapped them. Because the town's like its own thing. Yeah, I don't
But
think.
that wasn't the case in the first movie. It just happened to be the town because the cult decided to operate there. It was...
I think because she got back to the real world because of the seal, like the key.
Yes.
So Dark Alessa didn't let her go.
No, she escaped. That's what I mean.
Yeah, she got out. She managed to escape. So
Because if Dark Alyssa wanted her to go, she wouldn't have trapped her and her mother
yeah,
in Silent Hill. They would have let her go.
yeah,
And that was the bit we were wanting to get resolved from the end of the first movie, because it was like, why did she do that?
yeah,
What was the whole point of the scene of her? Remember, Rose is holding her, go, don't look. And we see Dark Alyssa coming over, and then boom, they're trapped.
yeah.
And we were waiting for the resolution of that, which we still didn't get in this.
So we still don't know the answers to that.
And that should have been taken care of when Heather / Sarah / Alyssa meets Dark Alyssa. Maybe a bit more exposition. No, let's just have a hugging scene because reasons.
Yeah. I always found that scene a bit strange how they utilized Pyramid Head as the like controller of the carousel. He's in the middle pulling all the levers,
Yeah.
isn't he?
But that was okay. You know what I mean? That's
I found it an interesting way to use him.
But story wise, like I said, the film looks great. The visuals are fantastic. The acting is competent. You know what I mean? That's once again, there's no bad performances in this. The story is all over the place. The story is a mess.
Yeah,
Even ignoring the video games or trying to tie in the video game lore, just the follow on from the first movie.
yeah,
It's round the houses. Let's go take a few detours. And it's like this podcast going on tangents. You know what I mean? If people come here for a movie review and then they get all sorts, you know what I mean? It's like coming to here.
I think, in a way, it's sort of like its own thing apart. Like even aside from the first movie, it's like this is what it is, and just have that without looking at previous movies, previous games.
As the whole point of a sequel not to look at the previous movie.
I know, but I think in that way, it's doing too many contradictions, and it's like, oh, okay,
Yeah. And Claudia in this is, I'm sorry, Claudia is Christabella Jr. I know she's her sister in this, but still, it's like The Crow 2.
yeah,
That basically had, God, what do you call him? That basically was discount top dollar because that's all he was. I was like,
yeah,
oh, we can't top dollar, so we'll have this guy. We'll just recreate a lot of the same scenes. That's what this felt like with Claudia. What purpose did she serve apart from an end of level body?
yeah. She's, yeah. I don't think they really needed her. I think they would have done just fine, but I think that was obviously put in because she's a big part of the game. But then they did it with Christabella, and Christabella's not in any of the games.
Christabella's character made sense.
Yeah,
Claudia's doesn't.
no,
And like I said, it was just basically. So what's the point of? Okay, if Dark Alyssa and Light Alyssa combine, she becomes vulnerable. No, she doesn't. She becomes even more powerful, and yeah, and she doesn't even do anything. She just goes, bodyguard, have at it.
yeah.
And that
I
was it.
think I suppose there is a connection there because obviously Vincent being her son and Leonard being her dad, who was admitted with the weird transformation that he does.
I give up. That's right. I completely glossed over that scene. Because once again, that was just the corridor scene to get to him
Yeah,
for reasons. That's like going on a side quest, and I don't know. You pick up an extra. You go through a lot, and you pick up like an extra clip for the gun, or you pick up something completely pointless that you don't need, an extra skin or something like it doesn't
Yeah.
serve. That was 100% side quest.
yeah. She gained nothing from that. Although I do like the sort of exchange between Heather and Leonard, but I just think it could have been he could have been used a bit differently. Because obviously, I don't know. I think they should have done a bit more with him. I think his time was clipped a bit shorter, and then maybe it would have been nicer to have him with more screen time rather than Claudia, because it was like Leonard was mentioned quite a lot previous, and it was like this whole build up to see Leonard, and then it was like over, and it was like, oh, that is that it?
Yeah, I became a monster. Woo.
Yeah,
Do you think of try? Do you think of they've thrown too much mud at the wall here?
I think they're trying to tick too many boxes, and it's not working.
Yeah. Instead of just keeping it simple.
Yeah, and I think the nice thing about the first Silent Hill is, it did tick boxes for like fans, and it did tick boxes for all sorts, but it still had its own identity. Whereas this one's trying to do everything for the fans, everything for newcomers, everything for the studios, and in doing so, it's becoming so
just convoluted.
complicated and convoluted. It's just it might tick all the boxes, but not in a good way.
Yeah, this is made by committee.
Yeah.
This is a prime example of, right, I'm super executive. I'm turning up now. I'm gonna have my 2 pennies worth. I'm super executive. I'm turning up now.
Yeah.
You get certain way along the line, and then another executive turns up and starts messing with it. Let's throw us in, right? Okay, I'm mixing this into the plot now. Here's another ball to juggle.
Yeah. I think too many ticks were ticked, and they lost sight of what they were trying to do.
Yep. And then even at the right, so basically the end of this is Red Pyramid versus Claudia in Dark Eldar witch form. I don't know if you're a 40k fan.
No, I'm not. I thought more along the lines of we were talking about it earlier.
Oh, the Cenobites?
No.
Oh,
The fighting game. Mortal Kombat.
Tekken or Mortal Kombat? Oh, you think of like Scorpion or something?
Yeah, it was like 2 characters like fighting.
Fight.
It was like that, and it was just like
I just needed health bars, didn't I?
I know. It's like, what's going on here?
Yeah. Once again, that was, and also we got no follow through of okay. So in the first movie, Dark Alyssa entering Rose made sense, so she could infiltrate the temple.
Yeah.
But Dark Alyssa and Light Alyssa combining is meant to be like a major significant event.
Yeah. Nothing happens.
They just can't. Like, she just walks into the mortal realm as if nothing happened.
Yeah.
And then what happened to Alyssa Prime?
Yeah.
She's not even in this.
Yeah, it's very it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, so they just walk off into the sunset, her and Vincent. And Harry decides he's going to go back for Rose.
Yeah.
Which is fair enough. So now we'd go from Silent Hill 3 back to Silent Hill 2. And then just for shits and giggles, let's throw Travis Grady in, because why not?
I know.
I'm like, what are you doing?
But I really like that scene. Like, oh, it's Travis.
But you're just like, what? Really? Are you blowing your load all now? Like, if you're not, like, what happens if somebody asks you for round 2? Like, you've given it all. Like, what?
Yeah, it's like, oh, let's set up this sequel, but then also let's set up this sequel. I did like the bit with Travis. I thought that was like a little fun nod that didn't need to go any further. But yeah, I knew you was going to say that before you even said it. And to be honest, I forgot about that scene until I watched it the last time, and at the end I was like, oh yeah, I remember this and I like this. But that's the geeky fan in me. I'm like, oh,
but that's all that was. That was just like, here, Silent Hill nerds.
Yeah.
Dangle, dangle, jangle, key jangling,
Yeah, that's it.
Right, everyone's complaining about this now. Horror did it first. See all the key jangling and stuff, right? Horror's done it first. Again, we win. All the rest of the genres are just catching up to this stuff. We have been doing it faster, better, more egregiously than any other genre. Because that's what this is. This is all member berries and key jangling, and plot, nah, out the window. Actual canon and lore, nah, we're not bothered with that, nah. Linear storytelling, nah, don't bother with that.
Oh, that's funny.
All I had to do was spend, like, if they wanted to be the equivalent of the MCU, all I had to do was spend another 100 million in reshoots after this for no reason whatsoever, and call everybody names for not liking it. There you go.
Crazy amounts of money, crazy.
And horror did it as well, all on the cheap. There you go. We win. This is
It's not,
mad. This is the more I think about it, this is a mad movie.
it is very strange, and I think first time sitting through it, you're sort of like, "What did I just watch?" sort of thing. Um, but I don't know if it's because I'm a big fan of the series, but I still love it. And it's like I don't watch it as regular as the first one, but I do watch it quite frequently, and I do like it, even though it makes no sense.
Even within its own storyline of this, it doesn't make sense because it just jumps like
I know, like I'm not, I'm not gonna defend it to the death because that's not gonna happen. But I have a good time whilst I watch it.
I had a
Um,
good night. I had a good time. I'm laughing here as I'm picking it apart.
yeah,
I'll watch it again. I'll happily watch this again. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's one of them. If it comes on, I'll watch it.
I
You know,
think
if it happens to appear in the streaming thing, I'll be like blink. You know, why not? And I'll smile and I'll laugh
yeah,
because once again, I don't feel like I think it was silly, but I don't think it was egregious. There's the sort of movies I hate is where this isn't going fuck you, Silent Hill fans. I hate yous. You know, which a lot of movies do
yeah,
these days. It's not doing that. It's just falling victim to the typical studio. Oh, we're spending $200 million on this. Oh, that's okay. Let it crack on. Oh no, we're spending a few pennies in horror. We must micromanage. You know, it's falling victim to that, which happens all the bloody time. A studio gets involved.
it is annoying, and I sometimes think, if this was made the way it was originally meant to be made, could we have seen multiple more movies? It didn't do as well as they obviously hoped, which is why we haven't got another movie yet. Um,
January.
January 23rd, I think. Um, but yeah, January 2026. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that because, well, one, because it's Silent Hill, but another, because it's a completely new cast. Starting off, I know they're doing the story of Silent Hill 2 with James, um, but I think it'd just be a nice way to sort of restart a film series if that's what they want to do.
This is a series that needs a reboot.
Yeah,
This is just because this sequel has just left them nowhere to go. I think
yeah,
that's the problem. There's nowhere to go with this sequel,
yeah,
and it doesn't tie up any. None of the questions that were asked in the first movie have been answered. You're just like, huh?
yeah. So I'm looking forward to. It's called Return to Silent Hill, isn't it? And it's directed by the guy that did the first movie. But it's not. Well, from what I can see, it's not connected to these movies at all. And I hope it's not, because I think it needs a fresh start.
Yeah,
It's
it needs a yeah.
too
This is
long.
one where a reboot is
Yeah,
necessary
too long's passed for it to connect, I think.
because people watching now wouldn't even remember these movies.
No. And I think even people playing the new games, Silent Hill 2 remake, a lot of people that's played that games wouldn't have even played all the other games. So I think it's a fresh start game wise. So it needs to be a fresh start with the movies as well. Sort of keep the old ones in the back of your mind and enjoy it for what it is, but maybe start again and see if they can sort of make it work a bit better this time.
Just tell it. It doesn't matter what the universe is.
Yeah.
A movie is a snapshot in the universe of a group of characters' journey. A series of events happened, and characters have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Just tell a simple storyline in that universe. Make it feel like it's in the universe, but don't get bogged down with canonical characters.
Yeah.
I'll go back to, because it's the most recent ones I've sort of gone through, but I'll go back to the Resident Evil movies. Yes, they did Jill Valentine, Chris Claire Redfield, but they didn't overuse them.
Yeah, I
And they
think
brought
that's
them afterwards. That was the Alice storyline.
yeah,
They could have easily not had Jill Valentine or the Redfields,
yeah,
and it still would have made sense. Now they needed Albert Wesker because he was cheeseballs in those movies. Great, and what they did with his character was fantastic, except for the final one. It just went weird. Him and Dr. Isaacs just should have had one or the other.
I remember that one, to be honest.
Well, that's where they messed up a bit, but
Yeah,
for the most part, it was enjoyable.
but yeah, I think they
But
need.
you don't have to have the actual characters from the
Yeah,
game. Is what the point I'm trying to make is. You can have a side story and have it in the universe.
yeah,
This is where you need to explain what Silent Hill is a bit more as an entity.
yeah, and I think that would make more sense to do something like that. And I think that's probably why the Resident Evil films did so well, because it was completely separate. It didn't matter if you played the games or not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that with Silent Hill you wouldn't understand it, but if you play the games, it just gives like a little bit more context to what you're watching.
But is that not the point of these? Right. The whole point of adaptations and that is to maybe draw a few extra people across the fence. You're
Yeah,
not going to draw everybody. So you make them enjoyable in their own right. And a bit of a nudge and a wink so that people who play the games
yeah,
will enjoy the movies. And it not be the important thing is for it not to be egregious. If anybody's learned lessons over the last couple of years is people wholeheartedly just turn away from the mainstream movies and the studios and the game AAA studios as well, is don't hate your customer base. Like, stop being egregious about it. Understand the people that put it where it was, and just you're not destroying yourself. This term that came up, fan service. Yeah, it is fan service. It's your customer base. It's like if Horrific Publishing, like if I was going, screw you, horror book readers, I hate your guts, you bastards. Here's this, both, you know what I mean? That'll be
yeah,
madness.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? I'll know who my customer base are. They're horror book readers, horror stories. They like
yeah,
horror stories. They like independent authors. So that's who I'm going to be, cherishing and getting the best for, so that the audience enjoy them.
yeah.
To do anything else would be plain stupidity.
Well, that's it. And I think, yeah, fan service. It's got to be fan service because that's where the money is. That's where they're going to get their money from.
Yeah, but tell a good story. That's
Yeah,
the basics of everything. Every movie I've discussed, every time, that's what it boils down to, and that's the bit that doesn't cost money.
mm,
As an actual production, it's a couple of people with imagination typing in their computer a script.
yeah,
That's the cheapest part, but it's the part you have to get right.
yeah,
Same as, I'm sure you'll agree with me, if you're writing a story, a book, whether it be a short story or a novel, you got to get it right, and that's the cheapest bit.
yeah. That's it. Yeah, definitely.
And the rewards, you know what I mean, by getting it right, and then people understanding that you get it right, and getting to know you, that you want them to enjoy what you make.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's the world's gone upside down. So hopefully the Silent Hill, when it comes out now, because if it had come out in the last 5 years, it would have been done, dead
yeah,
in the environment. I think people are starting to wake up and realizing maybe not be so antagonistic. Let's actually make things that people enjoy again.
yeah. And I think with but before the new set of Silent Hill games, even the games were going down that road of let's just throw anything out.
Mm-hmm.
But now with the Silent Hill 2 remake game and the amount of work that Bloober team have put into that, and created something so fantastic that it almost, or sometimes even does surpass the original, which everyone thought impossible. I think it's made, especially people in like the Silent Hill creative space, a bit more mindful about what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not a series that you can just rush something. It needs to have thought put into it because of how complicated it is anyway. I think if you're trying to rush something, you end up with something like Silent Hill Revelation, where nothing really fits together. Although it's like a good time, it doesn't make sense.
And you're not going to be stoked for the next one. Well, proof that the next one didn't happen.
Yeah,
And it's all about the rewatch, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
only fans of the genre of the series
yeah,
are going to rewatch this. Normal, casual viewers are just, horror fans, and that's not being disparaging. But if somebody can be a horror fan and not into Silent Hill,
yeah,
they're not going to get enjoyment from these movies because there's too much expectation of you must know this, 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 and this. Do you enjoy this movie?
yeah,
That's not achieving the same.
yeah. I've watched both films with people that's not played the games, and the first film is a film that people did rewatch, and the second one is a film that they can't even remember watching. Which is
It's overload, too many characters, too many subplots, too many
Yeah.
side quests.
I think that's what the issue was. It was trying to, like we said, tick too many boxes. It was trying to go in so many different directions. It spread itself so thin towards the end that we had characters jumping in here, there, and everywhere for literally like 2 minutes of screen time. And I think it did get a bit out of hand towards the end of the film. But as a fan, I will rewatch it, and I will have a good time rewatching it. But I just can't take it too seriously.
Yeah. So
And
here's hoping.
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, here's hoping lessons are learned.
I really hope so. And that's not even just from a fan perspective. I would love to see Silent Hill in the much bigger horror space.
Mhm.
And I know the series is capable of it if the right people are driving. And that's the issue, because we have too many backseat drivers at these things.
Yeah, too many grifters that are just there to basically make they're there, they don't deserve to be there. And because of that, that's why they're so yappy, because they have to justify their existence, so they stick their beaks in and ruin it. And that's why independent creators are the way forward. Smaller studios get away from the Hollywood tent, get away from that, make them outside, and
that's it. So
wait and see.
Fingers crossed for the next movie. Fingers crossed.
Yep. I was looking forward to the Killer Clowns from Outer Space game, but nothing happened. I was keeping my eyes open on that. That was meant to be out last year.
Yeah.
Never heard a thing that must got kiboshed. Not one advert or anything. Not even a demo.
I didn't even realize it was a thing.
Yeah, they've been talking about it for about 2 years, and they've done trailers and everything, and nothing.
Yeah.
But in that sense, I'd love to play Critters game.
Critters.
But like Sonic the Hedgehog, but you're a critter. You're a critter. Yeah. And no spoilers, because Chris hasn't seen 2 yet. He's only been introduced to this. He hasn't seen 2 yet, so no spoilers for that. But I would love to see that be a game feature, and you know what I'm talking about. That would be a big Sonic the Hedgehog, and instead of rings, you're eating the townsfolk, and then eventually you get that happening, and that would be so funny.
I don't know what horror film I would like to play as a video game. Immediately, my mind goes something like, like the old ones, like Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, that sort of thing. But even Friday the 13th, is that a game?
That was a survival horror game. That was another one, like 4+1. They used the same engine that they did for the Evil Dead game, and that was hard as hell.
Yeah.
You have to be a 12-year-old Korean to win that game. It's fucking hard. And also, it's okay playing as Ash, one of the characters. See, if you try and play as the Kandarian demon, oh my god, you see trying to, actually work the controllers. You're all over this. You hit a wee bit, and your demon flies all over the place. It's bloody nightmare.
Oh dear. Yeah, I don't know.
And Friday the 13th was the same.
Yeah,
And yeah, I don't like I want single player game. I want the option.
yeah,
I hate having to join a forum or join a team or wait, organize with people just to play a game. That's not what I'm about. Want to
yeah.
just jump in. It's for a bit of relaxation, or if I'm doing something for the channel,
Yeah,
you know,
I
bit
think
of a
that's.
laugh.
I quite like the old sort of horror games where you can just put the disc in and it's just like just crack on. I think there's a lot of co-op now, isn't there, with everything?
Yeah, and that's around. The arcade game looks good.
Oh yeah, I seen that advertised.
Yeah,
Actually. Yeah,
I think the demo's out now, but I'm reticent to download Steam again because it may it was Hystera, Real Gods of Hystera messed my computer up, and
right.
that's made me nervous now. And I'm like,
No, I
don't
did
know.
see it advertised, but I've still got Terrifier free to watch at this time. I watched the first two and I was like,
He's learned the edit. I'll just tell.
so,
So it won't be. It's not Terrifier 2 again. He's learned the edit a bit and trim it down
right, okay,
because God, that was. It's the third act of that movie, Terrifier 2. It kills me.
yeah,
It's like, come on, would somebody win already, or would you end it, God, or
yeah. It did sort of go on a bit, but the third one sort of like just there, and I'm like, I need to watch that at some point.
yeah, that was a much better movie.
Right, okay.
And also, you
Yeah,
have to watch it purely for the fact that, once again, what was the budget for that? 20 million or so, not even 20 million?
quite low budget, I think.
Yeah. And then you had Joker 2, 300 million. And Terrifier 3 blew it out of the water, just torpedoed that ship and obliterated it in the
It's madness.
cinemas. And you have to watch it for that, just to go, ha ha ha, thanks. Just purely out of spite, you have to watch that movie.
Yeah. Oh well. If you say it's better than the other one,
Now, I've followed, obviously from the Ninth Circle, I've followed Damien Leone and Art the Clown. And yeah, Terrifier 2 was a good up to the third act, and then it just became a hard watch.
yeah,
My concern is they're talking about Terrifier 4, and the thing that we're talking about in Terrifier 2, Art's origin story.
yeah.
Like, don't do that. You've already done that in the Ninth Circle. I'm convinced that. Have you seen the Ninth Circle?
I haven't no.
Right, it's the original indie movie that featured. It was the other actor, not shit, who you call him? Michael Howard, David Howard Thornton. Flip's sake, I'm an idiot. It wasn't David Howard Thornton. It was the other, the lighting guy that he co-opted into being Art, but that was a human character. So I think in the first one he created the ritual and came back as a demon. He got his reward, and there's his origin story. Just bring it back to the Ninth Circle.
Yeah.
I'm worried that they're still going to make him Sienna's father, and like, don't do that. That'll be stupid.
Yeah, because it was sort of like, I say I haven't watched number 3 yet, but in the second one, I sort of had the hints that he was a family connection somewhere.
Yeah.
So I think they've already sort of laid that foundation. Obviously, I don't know what the third one is. I know it's like Christmas.
No, they don't do that. They don't do that. Thankfully, they still go. Third one's a fun movie.
Yeah.
I'm not going to spoil it for you, but third one's a fun movie. Your concerns, you can alleviate them after 2.
Yeah.
He pairs it back and he edits, and it's a much better watch.
Right. Okay. I look forward to that then.
So, but I'm worried again. The specter of Art's origin story is still looming there, and I'm just like, don't do it. Art is an agent of chaos. Leave it at that. And if you want to do something, go back to the Ninth Circle and just have him as a human performing the rites to Satan and getting his reward as demonic power and able to carry out as well. That would be perfect,
I think it's like with all these like horror series, like Halloween done it. It's got so many different, not spin-offs because they're all part of the same thing, but
reimaginings and different directors going,
Yeah,
I'm going to do my take. And it's like,
yeah, and it's like in Halloween we had that whole sort of ritual thing
hmm.
halfway through, like the series, and then all of a sudden it just wasn't there anymore. Gets a bit confusing, and I think people are trying to do something that didn't need to be done.
They could never make up their mind. Is Michael Myers a human or a demonic entity?
Yeah,
They can't make up their mind. And they switch and change even in the same movie.
yeah,
And that's the problem.
yeah.
Halloween is my least favorite of the long running franchises.
I remember you saying that's like
It is
my
genuinely. It's and Friday the 13th isn't much better. It took them 4 movies to get into like what Jason was.
Yeah.
And then before that he was shot off into space, goofy fun for all. But at least it's more enjoyable. It's more linear. It makes more sense.
Yeah.
Than Halloween is just all over the place. Like even the first 3, like even Halloween 3s, like that was just shoved in there. And the studios even said it, so it's not even a. I love the way people still argue about it on the internet. It's like, well, the studio said that's what they did, so
I know.
why are you arguing about it, you weirdos?
Yeah.
The comments are
Yeah, it's a bit chaotic. But then I did see somewhere that Terrifier 4 is going to be in space, or is that just a jokey thing?
I think that's just a jokey thing.
But then I don't know if it is because they put other people to space, and I'm like, it wouldn't actually surprise me if they did.
I don't think we're ready for art in space yet. I don't mind if he does it, just do it properly.
Yeah.
As satire. But yeah. That's when he's like already retired and doesn't need to do anything else and doesn't give it to us anymore.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. There you go. Oh god, I finally relented. I broke and watched the trailer for Toxic Avenger.
Oh, I've not seen that yet.
No.
No?
No. I'm sorry.
Bad, is it?
The mop makes it. They've ruined the whole fun of the original one. I know Kaufman's involved in this, but yeah. He's got a CGI glowy mop. That's all CGI stuff. And you're like, no.
Oh dear.
So we're not going to have Michael J. White in a 2-2 going for his piano lessons in this one because it's not going to be that funny. You'll never top that. Well, there you go. That was fun. That was that was a movie. Yeah, good luck working this out. We tried our hardest.
That's all we can do is try.
Yep, that's it. Sometimes you just have to give up. There you go. Matt, thanks for coming on, mate. Appreciate it. I'm sure we'll find something else to ponder over and work out and see what the storyline is.
Definitely. Thanks for having me.
Before January anyway, because that's a wee bit of a while away.
Yes, like over 6 months.
Yeah.
But no, thanks for having me. I've enjoyed it.
No worries. And thanks for everybody in the chat, and thanks for everybody watching. And just easy to say, until next time, go update with the channel, do the technical things, and remember to keep it creepy, keep it horrific.